right. So the last time we started looking at the Ministry of Education, and some of the things we looked under the Ministry of Education, we looked at the vision of the ministry, we looked at their mission and their mandate. And we said the mandate of the Ministry of Education is to formulate national educational policies and programs for all levels of education in the country. Then we looked at some of the functions of the ministry, and I told you the first function you have to talk about is how they formulate educational policies across all levels. We spoke about some of the agencies under the Ministry of Education, and we discussed them comprehensively. Then we spoke about, I touched on the education strategic plan, and I told you the thing, and it is ending in the year 2030. Now, we still need to look at the education sector medium-term development plan, which is the ESMTDP. And I told you that this is a 4-year operational plan, which actually started when the education strategic plan started in 2018. In 2021, there was a need for them to do a review, and they realized that there was an average growth rate of 4.3. We discussed that. Then we started talking about the Ministry of Education. Then we looked at the organogram. And on that day, I told you there is somebody who is at the Ministry of Education. He is a technocrat. And still under the Ministry of Education, we have 9 directories. I spoke to you about the advisory board and members of the advisory board. We discussed them. Then we equally looked at Ghana Education Service, where I told you that most of the questions will be coming from Ghana Education Service because we are currently celebrating our Golden Jubilee. GS is 51 years, and we are still in the Jubilee era. Okay, good. So the last time we were looking at the head at the GS headquarters, and we all said there are 5 divisions now at the GS headquarters. And we said the first division is the human resource, and we said the number 2 is the administration division, 3 is the finance, 4 is schools and instruction division. Then the 5th and the last one has to do with the special education division. But there are 29 units at the GS headquarters. So here the examiner wants to know whether you know the number of units under each of the divisions. So let me go back a little and let you know that the human resource division has 7 units. Please take note of that. The human resource division has 7 units. Administration is having 4. Finance is having 3. Schools and instruction is having 8. Then special education is having 7. So now if the examiner wants to know which of the division has the highest unit. So can you unmute and tell me which of the units of division has the highest unit? Please unmute and talk.
Square instruction.
Which of the division has the least unit?
Finance.
Okay.
The finance has 3 units.
Now, Mr. Bindi, you can mute all of them. At the GS headquarters, you have a director general, and the director general is assisted by 2 deputies. One is in charge of quality and access, and the other one is in charge of management services. Now, 3 of the divisions are under 1 deputy director general, and 2 are under other one. So human resource, administration, finance gave report to deputy director general in charge of management services. Then schools and instructions, special education also report to the deputy director in charge of quality and access. On that day, I told you that there are some 8 structures at every district education office. I told you about the PTA, SMC, JOC. I told you about the district education planning team. I spoke about the district teacher support team. I spoke about SPAM, and I spoke about district district dictionary committee. Then the last one has to do with district insect committee. I explained all this to you, and at the end, I told you that GEOC has 13 members, and your district directors are secretaries at GEOC. I told you the functions of GEOC. On that same day, I told you the composition of GEOC, the functions of GEOC, and I told you again that there are 4 subcommittees of GEOC, and the 4 subcommittees are the appointment and promotion subcommittee, the disciplinary subcommittee, administrative and finance subcommittee, the monitoring and evaluation subcommittee. I spoke to you about the district education planning team, and I spoke to you also about the district teacher support team. And I told you that this team is made up of 12 teachers, 11 plus a training officer. The training officer is the head of the district teacher support team. And I told you the functions, what they do on that particular day. Then we spoke about SPAM, where stakeholders come to see how they could improve performance of what the school in the district. We did that. Then on that same fateful day, I told you about the district insect committee. Then I came and told you that the governing bodies at all levels, GES governing body is GES Council. At the second cycle schools is Board of Governors. At the basic school is the SMC. College of Education is the College Council, and at the university, it is the University Council. Again, we said that the governing body of the GES Council is made up of 12 members. And I'm still telling you, if you are reading any book, and the book is telling you that the council members are 15, please, the leadership of NAGRAT is telling me I should inform you that throw those books away. Officers at the national level are saying that council members are 12. On that day, we ran through the council members, and I told you that there's a chairman for GES Council. On that day, I asked you of the name of the council and the chairman. You who told me is the former vice chancellor of the University of Education, advocate. Now, WAEC has a representative at council. NASIA has a representative at council. Then NACA has a representative at council. Then the teacher association on rotational basis, they also have a representative at council. The Ministry of Education is represented. The local government service is also represented. Faith-based organizations are also represented. Then non-teaching staff, they call them TEU. They are also there. Then there should be one female educationist in the country who is also there. Then the director general. Then we looked at the functions of the director general on that particular fateful day. And I told you that the tenure of office of council members is 4 years, and they are eligible to come for another 4 years. Now, council has 4 subcommittees. Whilst council has 4 subcommittees, the subcommittees are finance and administration, monitoring and evaluation. We have the academic oversight committee. Then we have the faith-based organ. These are the 4 subcommittees. Then we got here. Now I'll take my time. I will move fast again because all what I was doing was just to recap what we did on Sunday. Now, if you have your pen and paper with you there, please write this thing I'm going to tell you. Write it. Write what I'm going to tell you. 1 is, yes, so 1, at 2020, 1049, please write it down. At 2020, 1049. Number 2, at 2020, 1023. At 2020, 1023. Then the third one you need to write is at 2020, 1055. these three laws, you need to have them. You have, as you prepare for the exams, you have to have control over these things I'm going to talk to you about. So I will be picking the first one. And before I'll pick the first one, I want to tell you something small about some of the acts in Ghana, and I'll be able to link them to Act 2020, 1049. You know, before Act 2020, we were having two acts that were actually controlling our educational system, and that is Act 1995, Act 50, then we had Act 2008, Act 778. These were actually the two acts that were controlling our educational system. And before the 95 Act, there was the longest serving act, which traveled 34 years. Ghana used that particular act for good 34 years before we got to the Act 1995. And that has to do with Act 1961, Act 87. In my last day, I'll be telling you a lot about Act 1961, Act 87. That was one of the longest serving acts we had in Ghana before we started implementing decentralization in 1988. Then by 85, we had to go for 506. 506 was the Rawlings era. 1995. 506 was there. But then something happened in 2008 when President Kufuor was going to end his tenure of office. He also introduced Act 778 of 2008. But the mistake Kufuor did at that time was that when he introduced Act 778, he needed to repeal 506 of 1995, but he did not. He allowed 1995 Act 506 to be moving on, and he introduced Act 778. So you remember those days, those who used to go for the face-to-face interview. When you get into the interview hall, the old directors will tell you that there are two acts that are currently operating Ghana Education Service, and these acts are in conflict. Tell us where the conflict, that is the question. And the conflict was in the clause 31, where one of them is saying that if you have a problem, direct it to the Director General. 778 is also saying if the school has a problem, the district assembly should solve it. So you didn't know when you had a problem in the school, like let's say, for instance, furniture, were you writing to the Director General or were you writing to the district assembly, where Act 778 puts all the schools under the district assembly? So there was a little bit of conflict there. But then on the 29th of December 2020, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo Dankwa assented to Act 2020-1049. So what he did was that he has to go and repeal 778 and 508 and 506 to give 1049 to be the only pre-tertiary act in Ghana now. And that's one of the wonderful things Nana Akufo-Addo did for us by canceling 778 and 506 to give way for Act 1049 to operate fully. So sometimes the examiner will want to know, are you aware that Act 1049 is also sometimes referred to as the Pre-tertiary Education Act? So I'm telling you here right now that Act 2020-1049 is also sometimes referred to as the Pre-tertiary Education Act. Please take notes of that. So now I want to look at the acts. I want to tell you everything you need to know about this particular act as you are preparing for this exam. Clause 1 of that particular act is saying that there should be 2 years of kindergarten, 6 years of primary school, there should be 3 years of junior high, there should be 3 years of secondary or technical education. Then clause 2 is talking about the free compulsory universal basic education. I think I spoke about all this the last time. Then clause 3 is talking about inclusive education. Then the 4th clause talks about the Ghana Education Service, the functions of the Ghana Education Service. And clause 5 created the GES Council and made it 12 members. 12 members. So it was this act that reduced the membership of the GES Council to 12. If you go and read Act 778 of 2008, you will see that the membership of the council at that time, they were 15. So it was this act that reduced the membership from 15 to what? To 12. So take note, GS Council members are 12. And if you are going in for you need to know them. You need to know there's somebody from WAEC. You know there's somebody from NASIA. You need to know that there's somebody who is also from NACA. You should know that there's somebody from based organizations and what have you. Then the same act spelled out the functions of GES Council, saying that they are supposed to sometimes advise the minister on policy formulation. They are supposed to ensure that there is effective and efficient implementation of the basic education in Ghana. They sometimes need to submit policy recommendation to the minister, and they also collaborate with other organizations to see to it that we develop. Now, tenure of office of council members is 4 years. And I told you that they are eligible for reappointment for another 4 years only. So 8 years, you cannot come back to GES Council again, but it does not apply to the Director General and what have you. So now, this was where we actually got to the last time. Then again, to let you know that the same law actually tells us the functions of the Director General. The Director General is responsible for the day-to-day administrative running at the GES headquarters. He is supposed to coordinate the regions and the districts. He is supposed to be doing dismissals. He is supposed to be writing promotion, signing promotion letters, transfer, all a part of the functions of the Director General. In that same clause, that was the clause that actually reduced the division. So remember again that it was Act 1049 that reduced the divisions from 10 to 5. Please take note of that. It created GEOC and also made GEOC to have 10-18 members, and it also have the subcommittees of GEOC. This is the very part, the part 2 or section 2 of Act 1049. We talked about the establishment of the Ghana TVET service. It was the 1049 that created the TVET. You know, TVET at that time, from 778, TVET was a division. So it was Act 1049 that actually established TVET as a service. And on that day, the president was not in the country. On the 14th of December, 2021, His Excellency, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, actually launched the TVET service. And the most important thing you need to also know is that TVET is also having a council, just like GES. GES council is made up of 12 members. But GTEC council members, they are 13. Please, if you are listening to me, write it somewhere that TVET council members are 13. They are 13. Now, I move straight to the second act, and I'm moving to Act 1023 of 2020. I already told you to write it down. The difference between Act 2020-1049 and Act 2020-1023 is that 1023 talks about the regulatory bodies. Please, I repeat again. Act 2020-1023 is talking about the regulatory bodies, education regulatory bodies. And sometimes in the exams, if you don't see 1023, also know that it is known as the Regulatory Body Act. The Regulatory Body Act 2020-1023. And here, the examiner is also aware that at any time, when they ask the question and they write Act 1023, At 10:49, you don't know which one goes for which. This evening, we want to know the difference. And the difference is that, look, the 10:49 is plenty. And you know, 49 is bigger than 23. So what you need to know, you know, when I was talking about the 49, I started talking about the structure of educational system. And I started telling you about free, compulsory, universal basic education. I started telling you about the inclusive education. We looked at the establishment of GS Council, and GS Council being 30 members. We looked plenty things. But the 23 is only talking about the regulatory bodies, and the regulatory bodies are only 5. I'll run you through the regulatory bodies and we'll look at their functions. There are only 5. GTEC is 1. Commission for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, popularly known as TVET. Then the almighty NTC. Then number 4 is NASIA. And number 5 is NACA. So I repeat again. The regulatory bodies are 5. While they are 5, the first regulatory body is GTEC. Second is TVET. Number 4 is NTC. Number 5 is NASIA. Number 4 is NASIA, and number 5 is NACA. So take note of that. Now, see something. Now you need to know which people actually head. What is the title of those who head these institutions? The head of GTEC is called a Director General, not the GS Director General. They also have their Director General. Number 2 is TVET. The TVET is headed by a Director General. Remember, not the GES Director General, but they also have their Director General. NTC is headed by a registrar. National School Inspectory Authority, NASIA, is headed by an Inspector General of Schools. NACA is headed by a Director General. So in these 5 institutions or regulatory bodies, 3 of them are headed by a Director General. 1 is headed by an Inspector General of Schools, and another one is headed by a registrar. Please take note of that. Now let's look at the functions, because all the questions the examiners can ask you concerning these regulatory bodies are the functions of these particular institutions or bodies. GTEC, mostly GTEC, they advise the minister on the establishment of and development of tertiary education institutions in the country. So for an institution, a tertiary institution to be established in this country, it must be an advice from GTEC before that particular tertiary institution can be established. They also advise the president through the Minister of Education on the approval and grant of charter to public and private tertiary education. They also promote efficient and effective administration and accreditation. Very, very important. GTEC gives, recently, they are always on this tertiary institutions, but they don't pay their accreditation fees. They will come and say that the universities, the courses the universities are running, they are not accredited. After the universities will pay the accreditation fee, they go back and say, oh, they've accredited the courses. And these are some of the things they do. Now, TVET, before I talk to you about TVET, as you are preparing for these exams, you need to be able to understand the difference between Ghana TVET service commission for TVET and TVET itself. These three things are not the same. And as you move into the exam hall, you need to have a better understanding about these things. You need to have a better understanding about these three things. When we say Ghana TVET service, that service that was established TVET and S. Another time, they refer to the same thing as GH TVET service. It's the same thing. It's just the service like GS. Ghana TVET service is just an agency like our Ghana Education Service. But if we talk about the Commission for TVET, that is a regulatory body that is supposed to supervise TVET service. So TVET is a regulatory body that is supposed to make sure that they formulate national policies for the pre-tertiary education in our technical institutions. They are supposed to regulate and monitor and administer technical education in this country. That is the work of TVET. They are commissioned to see to the smooth running of the technical institutions in this country. But TVET is a course. Hey, am I online? Check. Am I online? Okay, I'm online. So TVET is, as I said, TVET is actually a course. So please take note of that. Take note of that. So as I'm talking, I wish Ms. Piney can unmute them so that I can also hear from them. I don't know, talking for long, I don't know whether they are following. Please, are you following? Please, are you listening? Can you hear me? Mr. Piney, please, can you allow them to talk for me? Please, are you following me? Mr. Piney, I just pray that they are following.
I'm with you. We can hear you.
Okay, please. I hope they can hear. They can hear me clearly, right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. If they can hear me, then I'll continue. For long, I was not. The place was quiet. Then thank you very much for the good continuation you are doing. Backdoor, Mr. Binding, thank you very much. Then we are looking at NASIA. And I'm saying that NASIA is a regulatory body to supervise all pre-tertiary education, both public and private. That is the work of NASIA. They are supposed to make sure they advise the district assemblies on maintenance of high quality academic and educational standards in their districts. They also support the district assemblies education unit in the implementation of high quality standards. So they are supposed to monitor. Now, another regulatory body is the NACA. You know, from their name, they are supposed to develop our curriculum and also do assessment for us. They are supposed to determine the kind of courses that should be run at the pre-tertiary education level. They are supposed to collaborate with Ghana Education Service to do inspection and what have you. These are the functions of NAGRAT. Then we have the almighty NTC, and NTC actually is supposed to conduct exams. They are supposed to issue us with license. They can revoke the license. They can suspend the license at any time they want, and they can restore the license. And they also make sure that they keep and maintain a register of duly qualified teachers in the country. On this note, I will stop here and allow Mr. Baini from them, and I move to the strategy for answering the true or false questions. Mr. Baini, are you there?
Hello, please. Hello.
Yeah.
Are we together?
Yes. Together.
Yeah.
King Solomon.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are together.
Solomon,
Thank you
just
very much. So
we
now
are listening.
I'm moving you people to strategies of answering true or false. And I expect that if you are not holding a paper and pen there, please go and look for a paper and pen and put it down by you. Please get a paper and a pen by you.
Please, King Solomon, hold the pen and paper. Please, can you take the TVET and the commission side again?
The TVET and where?
Hello? Issues on the TVET and the TVET commission and things.
I can't hear you. Say I should do what?
Why don't you allow him to finish so that everything will go back to that question?
Yes, I'll go back. So you let me finish, then I'll gently go back again. Yeah.
Please, I said a little wrap up on the TVET and the commission, the TVET commission.
Let us finish. Let us finish. You will go back. Let us finish with what we are doing. You will go back.
Hi. Hello, but he has not touched on the Act 1055. I don't know whether he has forgotten.
I will talk about it right.
Okay.
The true or false question. At 2020, please take this one. It's not on my slide. Write it down. At 2020, 1055 is talking about what we now, before it was known as non-formal, but now it is Complementary Education Agency Act. So if you are listening to me, 1055 is the Complementary Education Agency Act. So here, that act shifted the responsibility. That act actually shifted the name and the focus of non-formal to complementary education. Now it is no more for grown-ups who are illiterate, but complementary is supposed to go out. Complementary Education Agency Act 1055. And that act, it changed. I said the first thing you need to know about that act is that it changed the name from non-formal to Complementary Education Agency, which some people will call C, which some people will call C, C-E-A, Complementary Education Agency. And what are they supposed to do? They are actually supposed to go and look for children of school-going age who are not in school. Mr. Biden, if you can mute all of us, I'll be so grateful. Now I know they are following. Kindly mute all of us. Yes. So when we talk about the Act 2020-1055, all what we are saying is that it is a Complementary Education Agency Act. And this act, what they are supposed to be doing is to go out there and look for children of school-going age who are not in school. For instance, children from 8 to like 14 years. They are roaming around. Some of them are following animals. Some are at the cocoa farms working. Some are at Galamsey sites. So they go to these places, identify these children. Either they are following animals around, they will carry the education to the field with them and start teaching them small on the field. And when they see that they are coping up, they bring them to formal education, and they don't allow them to go and start from P1. They could start from class 3 or class 4 and continue. That is Complementary Education Act, Act 2020-1055. On these notes, I will want to treat, because the leadership of NAGRAT is saying that they want their members this year around again to score all the 25 true or false questions. They should score it. Last 2 years, I made it possible for them. Last year, we got 100% pass for NAGRAT members. This year, we are going to repeat the same thing for NAGRAT members who are online studying with us. Principle number 1 in answering true or false questions says that for a statement to be true, each part must be true. So if in the question, sometimes the question comes in 2 parts. If one part of the question is true and another part of the question is false, what this principle is saying is that if one part of the question is true and another part of the question is false, then the question must be false, or the answer must be false. But if 2 parts of these questions are true, then the answer is true. For example, write this example down. The human heart has 4 chambers. The human heart has 4 chambers and it pumps air. True or false? Mr. Baini, I hope you can just unmute them to answer, and this part will look interactive for me. Members, are you there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's false.
Good.
Yes, it's false.
The heart
Good.
pumps blood
You have to start
to
again.
all
Your line
other
was
parts.
terrible.
So thank you very much. Can you mute yourself now? So principle number 1 is saying that for a statement to be true, 2 parts of the statement must agree or must be true. Now, I told you the human heart has 4 chambers. That is true. And I continue by saying that it pumps air. That is false. So the answer will be false. False because the human heart has 4 chambers, but it does not pump air. It pumps blood. So if the question was like, the human heart has 4 chambers and it pumps blood, true or false, the answer will be true. True because it pumps what? Blood. So there is this example again. President Nana Akufo-Addo introduced the free senior high school policy in the Third Republic. True or false? This answer is false because yes, Nana Akufo-Addo introduced the free senior high school. But he did not do it in the Third Republic. He did it in the Fourth Republic. So if that question was, President Nana Akufo-Addo introduced the free senior high school policy in the Fourth Republic, true or false, the answer will be true. But in this case, one part of the question is false, one part of the question is true. Principle number one is saying that if one part of the question is true and another part of the question is false, then the answer is false. But if two parts are true, then the answer is true. Now, example number 3, still on principle number 1. Ghana is in Africa and its capital city is Accra. Ghana is in Africa and its capital city is Accra. True or false? This question is true. Well, the two parts of the questions are true. Yes, Ghana is in Africa. That is true. And its capital is in Accra. Also true. Also true. So principle number 1, as you are going to write these exams, know that if one part of the statement is not true, the answer will be what? False. Principle number 2. Principle number 2 is saying that pay attention to absolute qualifiers or extreme modifiers. Absolute words imply that there are no exceptions to the facts that are stated in the question. And often it makes the question false. All these big grammar, absolute qualifiers, extreme, they are big grammar. If you see these words, in true or false, it will make the question false. And I'm so sorry for that. So I'll go back to principle number 2. The IT team has just alerted me that I went off for a very long time, although I finished principle number 1 neatly. Now we go to principle number 2. Principle number 2 is saying that pay attention to absolute qualifiers, extreme modifiers. Absolute words imply there are no exceptions to the fact stated in the question. And often it makes the sentence false. So if you are somebody like me who don't understand English, and we are using big grammar, absolute qualifiers, extreme modifiers, the simple language is that there are some words, they don't make room for exception. They generalize things. They don't make room for exception. Anytime you meet those words in the question, it makes the question false. And you don't need to know what the question is talking about. But these words will give you a clue that in true or false, that question is false. And I said, what first is all. The moment you are reading and you say all, the moment you see the word all inside, it's a clue to tell you that the question is what? False. All students eat rice. All teachers on this platform eat ice cream. Do you all eat ice cream? I know there are some people on the platform, even if you give them ice cream free, they don't like it. Yes, they don't like it. Even for free, they don't like ice cream. So we cannot generalize. So the moment you see all, none, best, best, always. Teachers always give assignment after teaching. Do they always do that? The word always will let you know that, hey, there's a problem somewhere. None, best, only, no one, nobody, everyone, not at all, worst, never, must, certainly, absolutely. These words will give you a clue that the question is false. And I'll show you from the examples of previous past questions. Example, everyone loves ice cream. That qualifier there, everyone. Does everyone like ice cream? No. So everyone likes ice cream. True or false? It's what? It's false. Not everyone likes. Some people like ice cream, not everyone. So that qualifier, everyone in the question, will make the question what? False. Now, PD 2021, question 48 is saying that what serves as reinforcement of learning to one student will always, please look at the qualifier, they always work for another student. True or false? I won't let them unmute you. I know when they unmute you, here is going to go ablaze. But remember that principle number 2 is saying that pay attention to these qualifiers. Absolute words. So this question, DD 2021, question 48, is false. Because what says as reinforcement of learning to one student cannot always work for another student. And the question says will always, and that qualifier always does not make room for exception. And it makes the question false. Now, look at another one. DD 2021, question 49. The alphanumeric classification of filing. Files are arranged only in order of, yes, so you could go into that exams, you don't know what alphanumeric is, but you know that King Solomon is telling you that pay attention to absolute words, absolute qualifiers. And this absolute qualifier will tell you that the answer is false. So here, you were in that particular 2021 exams. You don't know what alphanumeric is. You didn't even read it. But you know only. And you know that any time only is in this question, it makes the answer false. The only an alphanumeric classification of filing. Files are arranged only in order of numbers. True or false? And the answer is false, because only there, that's what makes it false. But it cannot be the only form of arranging files. There are so many. It cannot be the only one. No, it cannot. A teacher must test his, so you see that the must is there. A teacher must test his or her students when assessing them. True or false? It's false. Must. And I told you, maybe I have to go back a little and look at them. They're there. Must. Echo. Must is here. Must is a qualifier. So the way you see must in the question, it's telling you that no. The answer is what? False. Principle number 3. Principle number 3. Principle number 3 is telling you that pay attention to relative qualifiers. These qualifiers allow for exceptions and possibilities, and it can make the question true, but not always. These relative qualifiers, the other ones were absolute qualifiers. These relative qualifiers will actually make the question true. Qualifiers like may, some, probably, might, a few, many, much, most, often, sometimes, frequently, a majority, unlikely, perhaps. These make the question true. Now, 2021 DD, and it says the most suitable, and the word there is most, the most suitable Microsoft application to keep personal records of staff in a school is Microsoft Access, true or false. And I told you that you don't know Microsoft Word, you don't know Microsoft Access, but you know most. The most suitable, if they say the only suitable, it will have been false. The only, and you don't only don't make room for exceptions. Most make room is the most, but it is not the only. Are you getting me? I hope somebody is following. So the most suitable Microsoft application to keep personal records of staff in a school is Microsoft Access. True or false? It's true because it's the most suitable, but it's not the only suitable. So it's true. It's the most suitable. Now, let's go on. Principle number 4. Principle number 4 is that when you go into the exams and you sit down to answer these true or false questions, they are very easy to get. Very. Those 25 questions are very easy to score. If you go into the exams, principle number 4 is that don't let negative confuse you. Negative such as no, not, cannot, can be confusing within the context of true or false statements or questions. If a true or false statement contains a negative, please drop the negative. Drop the negative word and then read. When you read the question with the negative, you will not get it so well. But if you drop the negative and read it without the negative, determine whether the statement is true or false. If the statement without the negative is true, then the correct answer will be false. Now look at this. Look at this. The AD2 question 2020, question 74 says that the skills that must be demonstrated in performance tasks cannot vary considerably. You see that after reading it, you don't even know whether it's true or it's false. You don't know because of the not inside the question. Anytime you see a negative in the question, take off the negative. When you take off the negative and read it, it will make sense to you. Then you can determine whether it's true or it is false. Now I'm reading AD2, question 2020, question 74. The skills that must be demonstrated in performance tasks can vary considerably. Yes, it can vary considerably. And it's what? True. If you put the not there, then it becomes false. Principle number 4. Principle number 4. Another example. In assessing learning, it is not important to know the purpose of assessment before selecting an assessment approach. You see the knot inside has not made it so nice. So we are going to drop the knot and read the question again. In assessing learning, it is important to know the purpose of assessment before selecting an assessment approach. True or false? It's what? True. It's true. So if you introduce the not, then the answer will be false. Principle number 4. Principle number 5 is saying that watch for statement with double negative. In mathematics, nege is what? Positive. 2 negatives will give you positive. So, for example, it is unlikely that Kofi will not win the race. It is the same thing as it is likely Kofi will win the race, because nege is what? Positive. Negative words include not and cannot, and along with words beginning with the prefix this, ill, in, none, and on, these are negative prefix, and you need to watch it carefully. If you find them, it makes the statement positive. So look at this example. Aspirin is not an illegal drug. These are 2 negatives. Not is a negative. Illegal is also negative. Aspirin is not an illegal drug. What this statement is telling you is that aspirin is a legal drug. Aspirin is a legal drug. Principle number 6. Compare facts such as dates, names, places, and make sure that they are accurate in true or false questions. Kwame Nkrumah became Ghana's president in 1957. True or false? It is true. Principle number 7, and NAGRAT is saying I should tell you that if you go into the exam hall, if you look up, if you look down, if you look sideways, and you don't know the answer, please choose true, because it is very difficult for examiners to set false questions. So sometimes out of the 25 false, you could meet less than 3 false or 4 false. The rest of the answers will be what? True. If you apply these principles and you don't get it, the possibility of you getting the question high when you go for true is very high. So we are telling you, principle number 7, which is the last principle, is telling you that if you don't know the answer, choose true. Thank you. So Mr. Binding, open the line for them. Let me just get a few reactions from them, then I'll quickly continue again. Are they following? Okay, so now that I know you are following, then now I go and start from where I stopped from, and we continue. We stopped at assessment, and need to have a better understanding of the term assessment. A lot of time, people mostly confuse assessment with measurement. They confuse assessment with evaluation. They confuse these terms together, and at the end, they are not able to make any informed kind of a decision on these things. So today, we will understand all these things. We understand all this and many more of that. At what time do we say, what is assessment? Assessment in education refers to all the means used in our schools to appraise an individual's in a systematical manner. And remember that it is only through measurement and evaluation that assessment is made possible. Online and the access. If you are saying that measurement and evaluation can only make assessment possible, then what is measurement? Measurement is a process of systematically quantifying or attaching numbers to behaviors or performance of students. So, for example, you go to a class and you give them work to do, and you mark the work over 10, and you write 3 over 10, or 5 over 10, and you circle 10 over 10, and you say what you have done is called measurement. And then it becomes evaluation when you pass judgment on the performance of the child. After 10 over 10, you write very excellent. The excellence is judgment, and it's called evaluation. Bad boy, foolish boy, poor work, all those ones are judgments, and they form part of what? Evaluation. Now, no matter the form of assessment in the world, they fall under 2 categories. They are either formative, many forms of assessments, but all these fall under 2 categories. They are formative or they are what? Summative. Now, when we talk about summative evaluation, what are we saying? And when we talk about formative evaluation, what are we talking about? Summative assessment is that assessment that comes at the end of your studies, or at the end of the term, or at the end of the year. We call that assessment summative assessment. We call that assessment summative, but it becomes formative assessment when that assessment continues to move along with teaching and learning. And that one we call what? Formative assessment. Now, there's another form of assessment we call diagnostic. When you at the beginning of the lesson, you can, or the year, you can use it to test. It's used to determine the strengths and the weaknesses for corrections or remediation. And that assessment, we call it diagnostic, to find out the strengths and the weaknesses of the student. Then we have another form of assessment we call the non-reference assessment and criterion reference assessment. The non-reference is when you compare the marks of students of the same, when you compare the marks of students of the same class or the same age, you are doing what is called non-reference assessment. For instance, Medina Primary P2 children marks compared with East Legon Primary P2 children. They are of the same class and of the same age. So if you compare Medina P2 children with East Legon P2 children, you are doing what is called non-reference assessment. It becomes criterion reference assessment when you compare the students' mark against a predetermined standard in the curriculum. Then it is called criterion reference assessment. Now, there is an assessment we say is as learning. Another one we say is for learning. Another one we say is for learning. And some people are even saying that some assessment is from learning. Now, at what time do we say this assessment is as learning? So now, this is the very simple way you can always get this particular thing. Because no matter what, even if you read books, the way you understand understand it, by the time they ask you the question, you've forgotten. So I want to make it so easy for you this evening. Anytime you want to get this question right, look at this. When we say that assessment is as learning, the clue you are supposed to pick out of the question. Now, assessment as learning is that assessment where students come together, they ask themselves questions and they learn along. That assessment is as learning. So how to get it right is that the AS, remember NAGRAT is telling you that the AS is against student. That assessment which is against student to student learning. AS, student to student, against student and learning. That assessment is as learning, but it becomes for learning when the teacher goes into the classroom and tries to use some method to review the students' RPK, get the feedback before introducing the concept for better understanding. We call that assessment for, and take note, FOR. The end of the R is RPK. Assessment that reviews or uses RPK. Assessment for learning. Then the last one is assessment of learning. And that is assessment that comes at the end of the year. Final assessment, OF. The F, final, OF. The F, final assessment. Please, so take note of that. I hope this one will make you feel good and very comfortable. And you yourself, you begin to realize that you are getting a better understanding as you are preparing, as NAGRAT has given you this opportunity to be online and learn very well ahead of these exams. And we call it assessment of learning, Now, there's something you need to also know. Whether the assessment is summative or whether the assessment is what? Is formative. Now, assessment as learning is formative because the children do it as teaching and learning progresses. So we call that assessment as learning. Now, assessment and continuing teaching is formative. Then the last one, assessment of learning at the end of the year, it is summative. So now let me quickly add this. At one point, you can say that an assessment is reliable. At another time, you say the assessment is valid or is invalid. Validity and reliability. At what time do we say an assessment is reliable? At what time do we say an assessment is reliable? An assessment can only be reliable when high-scoring individuals score high, and when given the next opportunity to write the same paper, they score high. You can say that that assessment is reliable. If you negate it again, when low-scoring individuals tend to score low when given the second opportunity again to take that same test, that assessment is reliable. But it becomes valid when the assessment tests what it is intended to test, or when it tests what it is supposed to test. We say that test is valid. A lot of people have argued that the GES promotional exams is not valid, or it's not testing, whether it's not testing their work, it's not testing their work in the classroom. Whether it's valid or it's not valid, we are going into the exam to go and write it. So all you need to know is that what is a valid test. And I have made it very clear to you that a valid test, it is a test that measures what it is supposed to measure. Now, there are types of validity. There are types of what? Validity. And we have content valid. What is content validity? This check whether the test covers all the topics or the skills it is supposed to cover. If you teach 9 or you teach 3 topics and you go and set exams on 7 topics, it's content invalid. So content validity want to know whether the test, it covers what the topics you have actually taught. Then you can say that it is what? Content valid. Just hope somebody is listening to me. Today, I'm having a very smooth presentation, enjoying it. And I know teachers who are also preparing for the aptitude test, who are also listening to me, are also equally enjoying it. Now, we are looking at criterion validity. And you know, the word criterion tries to compare something with an established standard. And there are 2 types of validity, criterion validity. We have the predictive validity and we have the concurrent validity. The predictive validity will only happen when you are able to predict the future performance of a child. in an entrance exams, you predict how well that student will perform even when he goes ahead. And truly, the child performs in that way. So we are saying that it is predictive validity. Students come into your school to write entrance exams. You mark once paper and finish. I said, no, the way this boy has been able to arrange the answers in a very matured way, no wonder he will even finish and be the best, the one with the best results. And through comes out that he is the best at the end of the final year. Predictive validity. Then it becomes coherent when you pick an exams and compare it to a standard. And I always use social studies teachers and English teachers in this coherent validity. There's a system or there's a structure how they behave. Social studies, you are supposed to set your exam questions in 3 headings: environment, socio-political, and what have you, governance. Every time you are always teaching environment and setting only questions on environment. If we set the question and they match with it with the standard of how social studies exams are set, then if it goes along with that, then it is coherently valid. But if it does not match that, then it is coherent invalidity. So on this note, I will want to stop here and ask that the IT team should open up the platform, and I'll take some feedback from them. Yeah, who is talking? Let me hear you. Mr. Baini, can you open the platform for me to take some of their reactions before I continue? Thank you. So please, I know the presentation has not been disrupted. And again, I know that everything I've said is recorded down. We still have 2 opportunities to go. I will.
Now. Hello.
Okay.
Okay, I'm muted. Hello.
So please, can somebody talk?
Yes,
Hello.
please. We are there.
Are we together?
Yes, please. We are together.
Yes, we are together.
I hope you are understanding what I'm doing.
Yes,
Yes,
please. Yes, yes.
Okay. So if only you are following keenly, then I'll appreciate that so much.
Standing.
Then I need.
Yeah, Kinsolo.
Yes, sir.
Very well.
To ask the question.
Yes, I thought when you finish with the true and false questions, I thought you would have gone straight to the fill in.
No, the fill in, that is not the way I have planned my work. The fill in is for the next. Okay. The fill in is for my next meeting.
Okay.
Well
so the
noted.
feeling,
well noted.
So when I'm starting my next presentation, which will be today is Wednesday, or
Yes.
So we'll be meeting on Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
On Friday, I'll be doing the fill in, and I'll also show you some methods to be able to use to get the objectives questions right. So I don't want to rush things on you.
Can you hear me, please?
A question.
Yes, we've heard.
Can you hear me?
Please.
Well, as
Hello, can I
enjoying the presentation, but when you finish, it will be better for us to get the slides and then go through before Friday and Saturday. If we wait and then the recording, it will take a long time to go through the recording. But with the slides, whatever you feel, you can give us those ones. Then we will take our time and read before Friday and Saturday.
Don't worry. Immediately this evening, I will be sending the notes to Madame Salamatu.
Thank you.
And she will put it on the national platform. Your original chairs will pick it and put it for you. And I know Madame Salamatu is with us, so
thank you very much.
So tomorrow morning you will get the news.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Very much. So can I continue with my presentation?
Yes, sir. You can continue.
Yes, please.
Okay, Mr. Baini. I beg, please mute everyone and I can continue.
So please, King Solomon.
I'm listening to you.
So please, the principle number 4. Please, I couldn't get the keywords for the negative ones. Can you please go through for me?
I'm saying principle number 4 is saying that pay attention to negative words in the question. And when there are negative, what you need to do is that if you read the question with the negative, it will be very difficult to determine whether it's true or false. So take the negative out of the question and read the question. If you read the question without the negative and the question is true without the negative, when you introduce the negative, the question becomes false. That is what the principle is saying. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Go ahead. Go ahead and teach.
Just go ahead.
Yes, I can go ahead, but the noise, you people are not putting your mics on mute. If you put your mics on mute, it will be easy for me to go.
Solo is done. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. All right, so as I continue, I want to talk about leadership. And a lot of people always don't know the difference between leadership and management. Leadership with administration. Leadership is not management. Leadership is not either administration. They are to act. Leadership is about motivating people to move towards a particular direction. That is leadership. There are so many styles of leadership, and I know all of us who are listening to us, we know all these forms of leadership. I just want to okay, it has come right now. Okay. All right, thank you. I should start all over again, eh? Okay, leadership, okay. Attention has just been drawn that my microphone was off when I was talking about leadership. And I said that leadership, a lot of people confuse leadership with administration, leadership with management. Leadership is not management. Leadership is not administration. You go into an organization, you can be the leader of the organization, you can be the manager, you can be the administrator. These are three different things altogether. They are not the same. But when we talk about leadership, what exactly are we talking about when we mention leadership? Leadership is the act of motivating people, your ability to motivate people, your ability to let people change their thinking and face it to your thinking is leadership. Ability to motivate people to move in a particular direction is called leadership. And there are so many styles of leadership. We have the autocratic, we have the bureaucratic, we have the charismatic, we have the situational, we have the transaction. There are so many styles of leadership, which you all know. I'm not here to tell you about styles of leadership, but I'm only here to remind you as you prepare for the exams that look, the styles has its advantages and its own disadvantages. So there's no one style you can say is a perfect leadership style, because they all have their advantages. Even the laissez-faire leader also has its advantages and its disadvantages. So when we talk about autocratic leader, these are people who don't want to accept anybody's view. When making decisions, they will not receive anybody's idea. They are autocratic. Whatever is in their mind, they feel is the best, and they move along with it. Another group of leaders, we call them the bureaucratic leaders. And the bureaucratic leaders, they want things done in a bureaucratic order. Strictly to enforce regulations. You are sick, you can't come to school. Write a letter and bring. Bureaucracy. We talk about the charismatic. The charismatic leader, they live by their infectious presence. The infectious presence will motivate people to follow them. And the clinical example is Rollins here. We have the democratic. He wants to take everybody's views. He wants to welcome everybody. Hey, if you don't take that, you won't do anything. No. I saw a head teacher who somebody came and dashed a school 1,000 cedi. He brought all the teachers together that they have to all have their input. What should they use the 1,000 cedi to do? And they have been argued on themselves. After now, they don't even know what they want to use the money to do. Some say let's buy fridge. Some say let's buy fan. Some say let's buy a goat and eat. Some say let's do party. Hey, Abranti, you want to let everybody participate in your leadership. Bureaucracy. Then we have the laissez-faire. The laissez-faire comes from a French word, laissez-faire. Allow them to do whatever they want to do. Allow them to do. You get it? Whether you come to work or not, he does not care. Whether you work or not. So this type of leaders, they want experienced people who they will not be talking to and know that, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. Let me go and do it. And we call those people the what? The laissez-faire. Then we have the servant leader who wants to serve your people, serve them effectively. Then we have the situational leaders. As and when the situation arises, they will their leadership style will come up. We call them a situational leader. Then we have this transactional leader. The transactional leader actually will tell you, do this and I'll give you that. He wants to transact with you. Any teacher who is able to let his students get 4 1s in his subject, I will give him a bicycle. When the teacher is able to deliver, is whatever he has promised. Transactional, give and take leadership style. And we have the transformational leaders. They go and transform the whole place. And I've been telling transformational leaders that when the applause is high, we leave the stage. And I hope the one who is listening to me understand what I'm talking about. Now, all these leadership styles I have mentioned, they are not as important as what I am going to talk about right now, which is the basis of power of a leader. As a leader, where do you get your power from? The first source of power of a leader is called the legitimate power. And you can only enjoy the legitimate power per your appointment letter. You could be a small boy, but because your appointment letter is saying you are the head teacher, you have that legitimate power to control things. And when you are enjoying this type of power, it is called the legitimate power. We have another source of power, and we call it the cohesive power. When your followers have the belief that the leader has the authority or the right to make people to comply, it could be through threats or punishment, then you are enjoying what is called the cohesive power. Then we have the reward power. When the followers believe that you the leader, you have what it takes to reward them for compliance. You enjoy reward power. Then we have these 4 sources of power where some leaders get their power, and we call it the reverence power. When you have a very good interpersonal relationship with your workers, they will respect you and give you that power because of the way that good interpersonal relationship you have with them. Now, the 5th source of power or basis of power, I call the expert power. When you have an expert knowledge, when you have an expert knowledge in something, when the followers believe that you, the leader, you have the expert knowledge to be able to do something, then we call it the expert power. For instance, when you have expert power on issues, when your teachers actually come to consult you, oh, head teacher or the leader, please, I want to go and study this course in the university. And he believes that you have the expert knowledge to be able to advise him. You are enjoying what is called the expert power. Then we have the last source of power, and it's called the information power. And with the information power, the followers believe that the leader has the authority or the right to cause a change through the release of some vital information. Anytime I'm teaching people through presentation on face-to-face, there are 2 examples I give. Another, I'm not even seeing the faces of the people, the caliber of people who are on the platform, and I'm talking, I will reserve my information here and rephrase it nicely to say that information power as a head teacher, your teacher, they brought him back to work and they discussed very important things about the teacher's misbehavior. And the head teacher is holding that information. He is not discussing it with any staff member. He is not telling anybody anything. The teacher is thinking, why is the man keeping the information? The teacher will always comply. Well, he knows that the day the head teacher will release that information, the release of that information will cause serious change. So, because of that, he's enjoying information power. On this note, I just want to thank each and every one of you for joining me to have this discussion. And in our 3rd meeting, I will let you understand, especially those going for the DDs, how to do the fill-in. It's very simple. The fill-in is very simple to do. I'll tell you where to get the answers from and what to actually write to be able to get the mark. God willing, on Friday at 8 p.m., I will be meeting you again to let you understand this and many other important concepts. If God permits and I'm able not to finish, which I cannot even finish, we'll continue on Friday. And after Friday, I will let you see something. I will dream and I will let my dream manifest as you prepare for your examination. I don't know whether at this time there is any national executive member who has followed us in today's deliberation, or whether Madam Salah is also around, or whether President Kabonu is also online. Please, you can share 1 or 2 thoughts with your members before we call it a night. On this note, I have been heavily supported by Mr. Patrick Biney. Mr. Patrick Biney is a very fantastic individual. He's the IT coordinator in Cape Coast, and he has shown me a lot of things in these few days, and he has made the presentation very simple as well for me. Thank you. So, Mr. Biney, I'm so grateful for the smooth presentation I enjoyed today. It's because of, I don't know whether Madam Salah or anybody, Accra Regional Chair lawyer is around. Yeah.
Please, good evening. Please, good evening.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening, madam.
Mr. Solo. Our next meeting is on 27th. It's 27th.
When is 27th? Is it Friday or Saturday?
27th.
27th and 28th, eh?
Yes, please.
And when is that? Friday and Saturday, or Saturday and Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday. Oh, okay.
Yes.
So I'll make the notes available to you tomorrow early in the morning so that you can share with them.
Right. All right. I've heard. Colleagues, I'm a beneficiary of this program. I joined it when I was writing my DD. So I'm urging all of us to take it seriously. If you want to pass, pay attention and be rest assured that you pass one touch. Solo will give you all the necessary stuffs that will help us to pass. So let's be serious with whatever we are learning here. Mr. Solomon and your team, thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. Though you couldn't make it on 22nd, but today, superb. We are grateful. On behalf of my national officers and executives, Central Region, your IT team, Mr. Biden from Regional Education. He is the IT coordinator. Thank you very much. We started it with something small and it's growing bigger. We are hoping that it will be more than this. Thank you. And I wish all of you the best of luck. Good night.
Good evening. Madam, please, I want to find out whether TVET staff can also take these exams.
That one, I don't know. I don't know whether TVET people applied.
TVET is not part of GES.
This is GES. TVET is not part of GES.
This is GES promotion.
TVET is now a body on its own. Thank you.
Okay.
Please, I have a question.
Hello. Hello, Madam. Please, I would like to ask if we can get the recorded audio so that we listen to it. Yes, together
please,
with the
it will
slide.
be made available. God
Please,
willing,
when is
tomorrow
that
you will
made?
have it.
Okay,
No, what we
thank
do
you very
is we post it on the National Council platform, the regional platform, NEC platforms, and National Zonal Chairman platform. So they will share it in the various regions. So you will surely have it.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Madam.
But you can call me if you want. My number is 0244085161.
085561.
Hello, Sarah.
Yes.
Hello,
Yes.
Sarah. This is Castro. Please, the slide. I need it. I need it to urgently.
As and when I get it, I will give it out. I've been posting it on our zonal platform,
Yes,
so you shouldn't
I've seen some.
Hello.
Thank you.
My concern is the other regions because some of the
Please, your
members
number
call
again.
me.
Please, your number again.
0244 085161.
I have a question to ask. Hello. Hello, please. I have a question to ask.
Hello.
Yeah, I want to know after the AD1, are we supposed to do? Are we to do filling in our exam in our questions? The AD1.
It's easy.
Do you have a filling questions?
Please,
in
have
the
you
AD
seen
question?
some of the past questions? Look for past questions and go through.
Yes.
Is the DD who do filling in?
But I have one past question. It is entitled AD1, but there is a filling.
It's not from GES.
There are no fillings for AD1. There are no fillings.
Think so.
Even
posted some on our platform, NAGRAT KEA platform.
Not working so.
Hello, madam. Hello, madam. Hello, madam.
Hello.
Please, some of us are having problems. We have not yet received our index number. We complain to our HR.
Visit your HR. There are forms. They are working on it. I'm also in the office. Go to your district.
I did say, but since Thursday as of now, we haven't received any.
They are working on it. Don't worry. Since you have gone there, don't worry. You will have it.
Okay, thank you, madam.
You're welcome.
So please, the governing bodies, the polytechnic system, are they not part of the university? And so for that matter, are they also having a governing body?
Yes, they do.
Yes, and I told you the governing body is made up of 13 members. I said 13 members council. You take technical as the council members. I did it here. You were not online.
No, I'm actually referring to, perhaps I'm not giving the right name. You know the what's the name? The GS Council, the what's the name? The school management system, the Board of Governors for SHS, the University Council for University.
Polytechnical is council.
So I'm asking, where the Polytechnic Council? There's also Polytechnic Council for the Polytechnic. But because most now universities.
Yeah, it's Polytechnic Council.
Thank you very much.
Headed by who? The Polytechnic Council is headed by who? Is it the Director General or a registrar?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, King Solomon, before you leave, please emphasize on the date and the time again for our next meeting. Okay.
Please, we said the next meeting is 27th and 28th.
Time.
27th and 28th December.
Same time.
Yes, please. 8 p.m. 8 p.m. And
okay, thank you.
The information is on the page where you click to join. Every information that you need on it is present there.
Okay.
Thank you so much, honorable members.